My girlfriend, 26F, is extremely wealthy and I, 24M, am not. How do we make this work? I have been dating my girlfriend for about 7 months now. We are long distance. A few months in, I learned that her family is extremely wealthy, like millions a year, generational type wealth. She is from a poor country, so her money goes very far. I am a middle-class guy from Midwest America. I do okay income-wise and have good savings for my age, but obviously nowhere near what she has. She comes from a country where the man is the provider of the house. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom and always talks about our future together, despite knowing I make a lot less than her. Every time I ask her if she thinks we would be okay and she wouldn't eventually resent me for not providing the same lifestyle her parents afford her, she just says things like, "I don't know," and "let's see." She has said things in the past like, "I believe in you." Her family wants to know she'll be taken care of, which I understand, but even without a spouse she'll never want for anything financial in her life. Money to me is nice to have, but far down the list of priorities in a relationship for me. I don't look at her any differently. I'd love her rich or poor. Anybody have experience in this area? I just want to have a good relationship and make this disparity work, as hard as it may be. Have you met in person? The whole situation sounds a little sus. The chances of an extremely wealthy young woman from a poor country finding herself in a long-distance relationship with a young man who just so happens to have significant investments, savings, it reads like a textbook pig butchering scam. 7 months in, long distance, I think you have a lot of other things to worry about first. I don't look at her any differently. I mean, yes you do, you made this post because of it. Are you sure this girl's even real, bro? Sounds like a pig butchering scam. Well, I've read through everything and most people seem to think I'm being scammed, which would be embarrassing as hell and sad on my part. To be clear, I have not and will not send her money or invest in anything. I have not been out 1 cent. We have FaceTimed before and call fairly frequently. She also sends photos and videos of her and her family that would be hard as hell to doctor in any way. Tomorrow we will FaceTime and discuss all of this, including timelines for a visit, and I'll provide an update. If she refuses to do it for some reason, I'm walking away for good. This thread was kind of eye-opening, so thank you, even those of you who clowned me. I come from generational wealth and chose a more simple life with my spouse, where I'm usually the homemaker but sometimes have to work part-time. I've been written out of the wills over my choices. It's not impossible, but no one can tell you her expectations except her. If this has been solely long distance, I'm not sure it feels even real to her. If she refuses to discuss future plans in any detail, I think that's an absolutely bigger issue than any income disparity. 31 male. Need guidance on dealing with the proposal from my mother-in-law, 47 female. I don't have anyone that I can turn to for advice, so strangers on the internet is probably my next best option. Backstory. 31 male, was in a relationship with my wife, F, for a few years until she passed in a car accident 2 years ago at 25. We have 1 kid together, 5, and it was a really difficult time. Luckily my wife's mother and her younger sister, who is in her final year of high school, has always lived with us, so they helped quite a bit. They come from a pretty poor background, and not much other family as well. I myself am not rich, but I do own my own place, even before I got married. So it made sense for the 3 of them to move in with me, and her mother and sister living in the separate entrance. My wife's father passed on years ago. I'm a South African living in India, and she and her family is Indian. I run my own business here, and it is doing really well and has expanded quite a bit. I have been throwing myself at the work since my wife's passing, and my kid has been very close with me as well. Mentally, I'm in a much better place than back then, and accepted what happened as well. Currently, I'm just enjoying my day-to-day activities as well as spending time with my kid. My in-laws still live in the separate entrance. Cut to yesterday, my mother-in-law wanted to talk to me. She said then her friends and people that she knows have been inquiring about my marital status as well as if I am available to talk about it. This made her worried about the future of her and her daughter, as apparently if I do get remarried there is a very real possibility that they will have to relocate, and it is currently impossible as she doesn't work and her daughter is still in school. I told her that's not at all on my mind, and even if it does happen they will always have a place to stay with me. However, this is apparently not going to work in her opinion. As if a new bride and her family comes along, they wouldn't want the baggage, as she says, of dealing with in-laws from a previous marriage. So she suggested I marry her and she will sign whatever papers need to be signed. Then with her daughter completes her schooling and tertiary education, I then divorce her then marry her daughter. Obviously I said that's plain insanity, and how can she just sell off her daughter like that? But apparently this was the daughter's idea. They apparently worked out all the details and came up with this suggestion. I am arguing against it on the grounds of it being insane. But my mother-in-law is saying that men have needs, and I only have one kid and would want more, and can have more with her remaining daughter. So strangers of the internet, please give me some advice on how best to deal with this. Ideally, I'd really not want to go through with it, but my mother-in-law is extremely insistent on it and is not letting it go. No is an answer. If she doesn't respect it under your roof, she's going to make her likely of parting even more likely. In India, this is definitely not unheard of for the brother-in-law to marry his sister-in-law after his wife dies and leaves a kid or kids. Is it weird? Yeah, you totally have every right and entitlement to shut this down. However, mother-in-law is not being weird at all. She's worried about her and her remaining daughter's future stability. You said they're poor, so dowry is a very real thing that will be an obstacle to your sister-in-law getting married elsewhere. Also, your mother-in-law is right, any new wife will want them out. Is it possible for you to set them up somewhere or create a lease so they feel some sort of security? She is setting up a high schooler with a 31-year-old? WTF. And that's with the idea of actually being a wife and mother. She is insane. Honestly, this can't be true. Talk to sister-in-law to see if this was her plan, maybe, cause either mother-in-law is having a medical issue that sent her packing up there, or they are both insane. Okay, they are worried about having a place to stay. Maybe change the arrangement so it's more like a work agreement. You will give them this place to stay and in exchange they need to do XYZ. Maybe watch the kid, make dinner X times a week, clean specific things, etc. Maybe it's a contract that should help. Can you buy them a home or help them with that? This is where the crazy plan is coming from. They are women in a misogynistic society trying to ensure they are not homeless in future. If you can help assuage those fears, then this matter will resolve. Inquiring minds want to know, is your mother-in-law going to be meeting the manly needs until her daughter can take over? Did your mother-in-law address this in her plan? Insane. Mother wants to marry her dead daughter's husband as a placeholder until her younger daughter is ready to bear children for him, then pull the MILF wife to SILF wife switcheroo? Absolutely insane. My husband has a crush on my sister, 29 male and 35 female. What would you do? Hi, my husband 29M and me 35F have been married 5 years. I'm trying my best to be rational here and to try to make this short. I got with my husband when he was in his 20s and I was in my later 20s. He had only dated one other person for a few years. I have dated a lot. I feel I experienced a lot more. I come from a family of 6 sisters. All so beautiful. My whole life, I've always been told that. I have never in my life have ever felt jealous of any of them or felt this way. We are all really close. One of my younger sisters, his age, have always gotten along really well. They can talk for so long. At times I have felt some type of way, because he doesn't even talk to me like that. But I've never thought anything of it. But the past couple of times, we have all hung out as a family. I've caught him staring at her. Randomly. A lot. Like admiring her. He has never done anything. I'm not sure if she even notices. I know for sure she would never do anything. Like I said, we are close. But women aren't stupid and neither are men. You know when someone finds someone attractive and when they stare at someone and have a crush or really admires that person. All my sisters are attractive, but the way he stares at this particular sister is more than that, and I'm 100% sure of it. There's more than just staring, but it's too much to share. I have dated a lot in the past and have never felt this way before, and quite frankly I feel so confused and heartbroken. I genuinely feel like I've been cheated on. I don't know what to do. It's driving me nuts. I confronted him and obviously he denies it because he says he didn't do anything. Which he didn't, but I feel torn. Is this crazy to feel? How would you go about confronting them? From what you write, I would agree that he probably has a crush. And your actions going forward should assume he does. I doubt that he will ever admit it, because he understands the problems that would cause you as a couple. I would suggest that you plan to have him spend a lot less time with this one sister. If he is a good man, crushes will fade. I would also make sure your relationship is in a good place. Next time you're all together and he's staring at her, get your phone out, pretend to be on your phone, and record him on video. He can't deny what you've recorded, and you'll know you're not imagining it. The comments here are crazy. If my partner had a crush on my sister, it would kill me. I would never feel safe. The conversation I would have with him would be about respecting my sister. Basically, he's leering at her and I would tell him to control himself or get the fuck out of my house. A crush is a crush, but it sounds like he's going into creep category. Think about the times you want to look harder at something, woman with a beard and mustache or something that you might not see every day. But you don't. Out of respect for that person, your husband needs to grow up. Having a sister's husband stare at you in spaces that should feel safe could be devastating to her self-image. Everyone in this thread is jumping the gun emo. From what you've written, he's attracted to her and enjoys her company. That doesn't mean he wants to leave you for her or do anything other than be friends with her. As a guy, in my experience it's rare enough to get along with your partner's family, much less get on to the degree you've described. As of yet I can't see that he's done anything wrong besides lingering stares. If you're concerned though, you should speak to him about it. Tell him you've noticed he's hanging around and being overly attentive with your sister and it makes you uncomfortable. His reaction to that is how you'll know whether this will be a problem. It's not all in your head, the rest is up to you. Why is my boyfriend, M23, trying now that I'm, F22, mentally checked out after 3 years of waiting? This is kind of long, so grab some popcorn. Me, F22, and my boyfriend, M23, have been together for 3 years now. However, I feel that I have mentally checked out of the relationship. Yet, I feel so guilty because he's not a bad person. He's never disrespected me, yelled at me, cheated, nor gave me any reasons to mistrust him. The bare minimum, I know. The bar is in hell, I know. As someone who used to have a really low self-esteem in my previous relationships, I never felt deserving enough to ask for what I wanted. That is details such as flowers, handwritten letters, homemade meals whenever I felt sick, or surprises with chocolates and ice cream whenever I found myself in agonizing first-day period pain. Anything that would make me feel taken care of, really. When we started dating, I was so happy. I finally knew peace in a relationship because we had really good communication since the beginning and my insecurities weren't such a burden anymore. I don't remember in what exact moment my standards changed, but I knew I wanted flowers and planned dates. We don't have a lot of money, but there is always something we can do, no? I wanted to feel special. So I talked to him about it, and he listened. Nothing. I would even send him TikToks as obvious hints and still, nothing. I slowly gave up because at the end of the day I wanted him to want to do those things for me, not because I asked. These were some of his responses from that conversation. Me. There are things you can do that don't involve money, like sending me a letter. Quote. Him. The stamp isn't free. Me. We could make food and have a picnic at the beach. We can go to the one with free parking. Him. Gas isn't free. On my 21st birthday, I was sad because I bought books with the little money I got from my paycheck due to my hours being reduced drastically. I felt guilty, even though my favorite thing to do on my birthday is to buy the books I've been dying to get. I couldn't return them, so I was pretty bummed. His only response was, "At least you don't have to worry about paying for gas." This is because I don't have a car. Even if he apologized after that, I didn't feel any better. Even if he's a sweet guy, I couldn't help but feel resentful whenever I wondered what was I doing wrong to not deserve the treatment I've always wanted. I loved doing things for him without expecting the exact in return, but how am I supposed to feel when I realized he probably wouldn't do the same thing for me? Isn't it natural or instinctual to want to take care of your favorite person? 2024 was the worst year so far for me, since I lost 4 family members in a row and I yet can't still process the grief from the first loss, which was the worst of them all. So, I don't think I can put into words how much it killed me to only hear him say, "I'm sorry to hear that." And don't get me wrong, I never know what to say in those kind of situations either, but you can trust 100% that I will be there in other ways and do everything in my power to make you feel better. I can't comfort you with words, but do you just need a shoulder to cry on? You got it. You just want silent company? You got it. Want me to come over and make you comfort food? Bet. I understand that it's nobody's responsibility but your own to get better. But man, who wouldn't do anything to help a partner, friend, family member feel better? The moment I knew I started to mentally check out was the night I visited my grandfather at the hospital days before he died. I will not get into details about the state he was in, but it was heartbreaking. I texted my boyfriend as soon as I got to the hospital to let him know I made it okay, and minutes later I added, "Wow. This is worse than I thought." To what he only replied, "I mean, it's cancer." No shit, brother. Anyways, that was on October 31st. So, we were supposed to hang out at my best friend's after my hospital visit. My best friend was the one to pick me up at the hospital and she asked me if I would prefer to go home instead of her Halloween get-together. She knew I was an emotional disaster. I insisted to go, because I didn't want to be alone and I found nothing more comforting than to be in the company of my best friends. I was looking forward to be with my boyfriend there, too. I was dying for a hug from him at least. Until he called me to say he wasn't going to the party because he was too exhausted after his shift. Which is understandable, but he never asked me how I was doing. The minute I hung up, I felt like exploding. And ever since that moment, I slowly started distancing myself, which to this day he hasn't questioned. I have always wondered if there was someone out there who would do what I've been begging for, not only in this relationship but my previous ones as well. Have I been asking for too much? The more I distanced myself, the more I fantasized about other possibilities. But now that I've been holding myself back, I see him planning more dates and wanting to stay over more often, but now, I just want to be alone. Why do I need to make them fear losing me for them start acting right? I just feel so bad because I know he's not a bad person. But even if I talk to him about my needs for a third time, which, to me, once is enough, I don't think he'll even want anything anymore because he'll only do it because I asked. And I feel guilty to admit that I sometimes fantasize about another man treating me better and taking care of me as I would for him, and I feel like a terrible person for it. Is that a sign I should end things? He doesn't have to be a traditional villain to be a poor match. If you're mentally checked out, it's past time to leave. He's shown you who he is when you needed him most, and he missed the mark, spectacularly. You communicated your needs. You deserve to have your needs met. What's the point of being in a relationship when you feel significant other alone? He's showing you exactly who he is. You are not going to change him. If this is what you want, carry on. If this is not what you want, break up. I'm so sorry for your year. But listen to yourself, you deserve better. Staying will only increase the chance of a relapse. Checking in on you should be a natural instinct, not an, oh shit I forgot moment. He didn't even ask you how you were doing when your grandfather was in the hospital, dying of cancer. You deserve better than this. So when people ask why you split, he can blame you. Right now he's noticing the shift and doesn't want things to change, so he will put in more effort to get you to stay. The problem is that this shows you he could have been doing this the whole time and he chose not to. He couldn't have shown you less care during your time of loss and grief. I wouldn't be able to look at him the same way either. That was absolutely foul and hurtful. You deserve significant other much better. Update me.